Tonight on the National Rundown, the war in Gaza escalates into a full-blown famine, and Haiti's current prime minister is under U.S. protection amidst escalating conflict in the Caribbean country. Welcome to the Rundown. I'm your host, Allison Cassidy.
We are live in Glassboro, New Jersey, and we have a nice bright blue sky out there, minimal clouds in the sky, but don't let this weather fool you. It is very windy and chilly out here, so stay tuned for the 5-day forecast with me, plus our daily stories coming up on the Rundown.
Open up your books to page 360.
Did you just look at your phone while you was in class? You played yourself.
Talking about inspirational quotes.
You gotta believe in yourself. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Louise, can you give me an example of an inspirational quote?
Don't play yourself. The key is to make it.
And who said that?
I did. Now that's a major key alert.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchool.com.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of the National Rundown. I'm Allison Cassidy. After months of conflict in the region, the citizens of Gaza are currently at another hurdle in their humanitarian crisis: famine. A new report from Interrogative Food. I'm so sorry. Full-blown famine and starvation in the northern part of Gaza any time from now until May of 2024. There are 25 confirmed reports in the north of people already succumbing to their hunger. The famine is primarily the aid of being throttled or denied by Israel into Palestinian enclave among the Mediterranean Sea. The denial of aid is primarily a result of Israeli government classifying many of the aid packages as potential tools of war, a claim which has been criticized by many. The Supreme Court heard arguments in a case that tests how far the government can go in pressuring social media companies to remove content it believes spreads misinformation. Skylar Henry reports from Washington, D.C.
Make some noise for free speech!
Groups who say their voices have been silenced by the government rallied outside the Supreme Court Monday, as the justices heard arguments about whether the Biden administration went too far, combating controversial posts on social media.
The First Amendment, had it been heeded during the pandemic, would have saved lives. And I hope the court does the right thing by restoring the First Amendment to this country.
The case, Murphy versus Missouri, arose out of efforts during the early months of the Biden administration to push social media platforms to take down posts that officials said spread falsehoods about the pandemic and the 2020 presidential election, with lower courts ruling that federal employees could not coerce or significantly encourage a platform's content moderation decisions.
Government can't just run rampant pressuring platforms to censor private speech.
Some justices appeared skeptical of the challenge to the Biden administration's actions.
What do you do with the fact that the platforms say no all the time to the government?
Your Honor, it doesn't matter.
Attorneys for the Biden administration argued that the federal officials' actions amounted to persuasion, not coercion.
Government speech crosses the line into coercion only if, viewed objectively, it conveys a threat of adverse government action. And because no threats happened here, the court should reverse.
A decision on the case is expected in June. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the Supreme Court.
Former President Donald Trump has been unable to find an insurance company to underwrite his $464 million bond that came about as a result of his New York Attorney General's civil fraud case. He reportedly hit a dead end after reaching out to over 30 underwriters. He would need to come up with more than $550 million in order to post his bond, which the former president is calling impossible. When we come back, we have updates on the chaos unfolding in Haiti's capital.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Ariel Henry, who officially announced his resigning, is reportedly under protection of the U.S. Secret Services. Conditions in Port-au-Prince continue to worsen as gang violence worsens as well, pushing Americans who are currently trapped in Haiti to desperately try and escape. And now Isaac is here to tell us about what we need to know about the legendary Larry David, and at the end of his popular show, Curb Your Enthusiasm. So Isaac, I was told you wanted me to diminish my spirits for today's Q&A?
Not quite, Allison. I said to curb your enthusiasm because the hit improv-based sitcom is coming to an end this season on HBO.
What exactly is Curb Your Enthusiasm?
I'm glad you asked, Allison. Started as a mockumentary back in 1999 about Seinfeld co-creator Larry David getting back into stand-up comedy, it got such high reviews and ratings that HBO decided to spin it into a series the very next year in 2000. It would follow Larry's daily life, in which he would highlight kind of backwards social issues with kind of very backwards scenarios and his trademark curmudgeonly old man attitude. And that's putting it simply.
Well, why exactly is it being canceled?
Well, there's a bit of a multi-part answer there. For one, the series has been going for over 20 years now, and it's in its 12th season. It's effectively eclipsed Seinfeld, which it was spun off of in a way, which only had 9 seasons over about 10 years. So you really kind of want it to end on a high note, you know?
Absolutely. And outside of artistic integrity, is there any other reasons the show is coming to a close?
Well, it's a bit unfortunate, but it also comes down to the cast aging. The show started with Larry David's old man attitude being a bit of a joke, but now that Larry's up in the late 70s, I believe he's 76 or 77 now, he's almost become a caricature of the character he started playing 20 or so odd years ago. And this is also a bit unfortunate. Richard Lewis, who is a stand-up comedian on the show's rotating cast of characters, he unfortunately succumbed to cancer about a month ago, and so the show's really not going to be the same without the full cast.
It really sounds like the show means a lot to you and, of course, the rest of its fan base. Are you upset that this is ending?
Well, the show's iconic in its own right. I think letting a great piece of art close on its own time rather than, you know, constantly being renewed and dragged out and eventually being canceled, I don't know, a few years down the line after it gets bad. I feel like letting it end on a high note is much better than that. And plus, it gives the next curmudgeonly comedian an opportunity to make their own sitcom, don't you think?
Absolutely, Isaac. I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for coming on to tell us a little bit about that. Thank you. The search for the University of Missouri student continues. New witnesses have come forward to say that they ran into Riley Strain the night he went missing. According to a family friend, it was a married couple who are parents themselves, who say they saw the missing student on the night of March 8th. Strain was kicked out of Luke's 32 Bridge Food and Drink and became separated from his friends before he went missing. Last week, the Nashville Police Department released footage showing Mr. Strain stumbling and falling as he crossed the road close to where he vanished. Mystery Meat gains popularity. Got a quarter?
if you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Nissin, the company that makes Cup of Noodle, is coming out with a new product of mystery meat. Customers have enjoyed the small pieces of meat so much that the company decided to start selling the meat by itself for customers to use in cooking or to enjoy by itself. This new packaging will hold the amount of meat that would come in about 47 cups of instant ramen. The company has shared ideas for how to cook this mystery meat, including mystery meat and fried rice and mystery meat stuffed peppers. And now Silent Michaels has the latest with sports.
Thank you, Allison. The World Figure Skating Championships wrap up in Montreal, and the results are in. For the women's short program, the top three saw Leona Hendricks from Belgium with a 76.98 points, Isabel Levito from the U.S. with 73.73 points, and Leah Hayen from South Korea with 73.55 points. The pair's short, Canada's Diana Stellato-Dudek and Maxime Deschamps with a score of 77.48. Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kiyahara, hailing from Japan, ended with a score of 73.53. And Sarah Conti and Niccolò Macchi of Italy with 72.88 points. A Pennsylvania nonprofit aims to help young athletes get the equipment they need without breaking the bank. The group Athletes Caring Together has set up 5 drop boxes around the state's Lackawanna County. Their mission is to collect supplies that would give lower-income children the chance to participate in sports that often come with costly expenses. The drive is collecting new or gently used items such as bats, gloves, and cleats. The group will be collecting donations until a free youth sports game on May 19th, where the goods will be handed out to those in need. Transgender socialite and former Olympian track and field star Caitlyn Jenner is voicing opinions on trans women competing on women's sports teams. The former gold medal champion is in support of New York County's ban on girls and women's sports teams that include transgender athletes from using public facilities. Jenner noted that trans women performing with cisgendered women in sports can lead to an increase in injury and takes opportunities for the long protected class under Title IX due to their biological structures. That's all for today. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you, Silent. Coming up, we have Bryn filling us in on the cold temperatures making their way back to us. Stay tuned for the weather. It's not all sprinkles and nuts. As the company announced the spinoff of the Cool ice cream brand. It's been a rocky road for the ice cream brand as they were purchased by Unilever in 2000 and are now being spun back into the new company. Unilever announces Ben & Jerry's will join other ice cream brands like Magnum Walls through demerger. Ben & Jerry's remains committed to its three-part mission. Now here's Bryn Wilson to give us an update on the weather.
That's right, folks. Although we have a beautiful bright blue sky out there with absolutely zero clouds, we are going to be experiencing some lower temperatures tonight, so let's take a look. We are going to see some clouds and a big bright moon out there. We're going to see a low of 26 degrees and a high of 39 degrees, so make sure you keep those coats handy. On Friday, we're going to have nice sunny conditions with a low of 25 degrees and a high of 52 degrees. On Saturday, it's going to be cloudy and rainy, so make sure you get those umbrellas handy. We're going to have a low of 38 degrees and a high of 52 degrees. Moving over to Sunday, we're going to see a low of 30 degrees and a high of 51 degrees, but it's going to be sunny, so we can't really complain about that. Moving on to Monday, once again, nice sunny conditions with a low of 29 degrees and a high of 55 degrees. Then on Tuesday, we're going to have cloudy conditions, but we're going to have a low of 34 degrees and a high of 55 degrees. Now let's take a look at our weather window. As you can see from this photo that was taken previously today on Rowan Boulevard, we had bright, beautiful skies, minimal clouds, but it was very windy and very cold, but that did not keep our Rowan students away from going to classes.
I couldn't tell you. The wind today was out of control, Bryn. It was insane.
Absolutely insane.
Hoping for that spring weather.
I know.
Hoping
I'm ready
for it.
I think it would be all sprinkles and nuts.
I'll say.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching this evening, and I'm your host, Allison Cassidy. Good night.